If you are seeing this, you finally hold the key to unlock observer effect. And once you truly grasp what it means, you will never encounter reality the same way again. This message didn't accidentally appear in your feed. Your consciousness specifically attracted this knowledge to you because you've reached the precise frequency threshold needed to understand the deepest secret in quantum physics. Right now, as these words flow into your awareness, your brain is firing in neural patterns that directly connect you to the quantum field. You've sensed it, haven't you? That growing awareness that reality isn't as rigid as everyone else believes. That strange realization that somehow your attention influences what unfolds around you. That uncanny sense that the universe reacts to your observation in ways science struggles to explain. This isn't paranoia or fantasy. This is your consciousness beginning to recognize its genuine creative power. The key to unlocking observer effect isn't in dusty textbooks or sterile laboratories. It's in the raw experiences you've been having without realizing what they were. Every time you notice that thinking about someone makes them call. Every time you realize that focusing on problems seems to multiply them. Every time you saw that directing attention to possibilities makes them more likely to manifest. You are not simply observing reality, you are shaping reality through the very act of observation. But here's what quantum physicists rarely reveal. Observer effect isn't confined to subatomic particles in controlled experiments. Observer effect is the core mechanism by which consciousness shapes every moment of your lived reality. The reason you feel different from others is because most people are unconscious observers. They watch reality without recognizing that they're collapsing infinite possibilities into specific outcomes through the quality of their focus. You, however, have been cultivating conscious observation. You're realizing that what you observe literally defines what you experience. Your observer effect key activated the moment you began noticing how your inner state reshapes your outer circumstances in ways that go far beyond positive thinking or coincidence. This recognition doesn't creep in slowly, it happens in quantum leaps, sudden shifts that reorganize your entire perception of the link between consciousness and reality. But here's the crucial part. Understanding observer effect intellectually is very different from wielding it consciously. What you're about to learn will show you how your observation has unconsciously sculpted every experience of your life. More importantly, it will reveal how to use conscious observation to deliberately collapse the possibilities you desire into your lived reality. You've been witnessing micro-manifestations that happen too quickly to dismiss, haven't you? You think about needing something, and it appears within hours. You focus on hearing from someone, and they contact you almost instantly. You fixate on a problem, and it seems to intensify. These aren't coincidences, they are observer effect in action. Your focus has been gaining strength without you noticing. Now, when you concentrate deeply, it feels as if your attention carries electromagnetic weight that actually bends probability. You can sense the difference between casual thoughts and the kind of concentrated observation that shapes reality around you. Sometimes, in deep focus, time behaves differently. Minutes stretch into what feels like hours of detailed attention, or hours collapse into fleeting moments of clarity. This isn't just time distortion, it's your consciousness learning to operate at the quantum level, where time and space bend to observation instead of restrict time. Nungit. And you've noticed, haven't you? Your emotional state while observing determines what manifests. Fear fuels fearful outcomes. Excitement multiplies exciting possibilities. Love attracts loving experiences directly into your field. Your emotional frequency dictates which quantum possibilities your observation collapses into reality. The dreams you've been experiencing where you witness events unfold and later encounter similar events in waking life. Those aren't predictive dreams, they're observer effect practice sessions. In dream states, you're learning how to navigate quantum possibility fields through pure observation, and your waking reality is reorganizing itself to match the frequencies you've been practicing. Sometimes you notice yourself staring at situations with an intensity that feels almost otherworldly. People may ask what you're looking at, but you can't explain that you're not simply looking. You're observing in a way that actively influences what you perceive. You're developing quantum observation skills most humans don't even realize exist. Your intuition has evolved into quantum sensing. You don't just sense things before they occur, you observe them in possibility space before they collapse into three-dimensional experience. Your consciousness is learning to read the quantum field directly instead of just recognizing the physical results of quantum collapse. That feeling that reality becomes more flexible when you pay attention. That realization that your focus holds actual power to shift circumstances. That recognition that observation isn't passive, but profoundly creative. This isn't imagination. This is your consciousness awakening to its primary role in reality creation through observer effect. Every single experience you've lived wasn't random chance. Every experience was quantum potential collapsed into reality through your unconscious observation patterns. The observer effect has been shaping your life since birth, but you've been applying it unconsciously rather than intentionally. Your struggles weren't punishments or bad fortune, they were outcomes of unconscious observation aimed at problems, limitations, fears, and unwanted possibilities. When you observe something with strong emotional energy, whether you desire it or not, you amplify the probability of experiencing it. This is why worry attracts what's worried about. This is why resistance strengthens what's resisted. Think about every major turning point in your life. Before each shift, there was always a phase of concentrated observation focused on dissatisfaction with current conditions. Your attention on what wasn't working was observer effect in action, collapsing new possibilities into your timeline. The isolation you felt during hard times wasn't rejection, it was necessary quantum quarantine. You needed separation from collective observation patterns that could have interfered with your individual observer effect growth. Other people's unconscious focus would have distorted your learning process. Every relationship, every job, every home that ended wasn't failure. It was observer effect creating space for new possibilities. Your unconscious focus on the limits of those circumstances collapsed their endings, clearing the way for experiences that matched your expanding awareness. Those waiting periods you endured weren't wasted time, they were observer effect incubation. Your consciousness was practicing how to observe without attachment, to focus without desperation, to pay attention without collapsing unwanted outcomes through fear. These abilities were essential before you could use observer effect with intention. Now you know why meditation works, why visualization is powerful, why some people manifest effortlessly while others struggle endlessly. It's not about technique or worthiness or spiritual progress, it's about understanding the observer effect and learning to observe from quantum coherence rather than three-dimensional attachment. Your entire life has been observer effect training. Every experience has shown you something about how observation reshapes reality. Now the unconscious phase is complete. You're ready to wield observer effect with full awareness of its creative force. Something is awakening in your observation abilities right now. Can you sense it? That subtle shift in the quality of your focus, that electromagnetic intensification behind your eyes, that feeling that your attention is becoming sharper and more precise. Your observer effect is evolving into conscious operation. This isn't a poetic enhancement. This is measurable change in your brainwave activity, your electromagnetic field output, your nervous system sensitivity to quantum fluctuations. Your capacity for reality influencing observation is literally expanding as these words activate dormant pathways. The key to observer effect mastery isn't learning to observe differently. It's realizing that you're already collapsing infinite quantum potentials into concrete experience every moment through the quality of your focus. The difference between unconscious observer effect and conscious observer effect is awareness of what you're doing. Right now, infinite versions of every possible outcome exist as quantum probability. There's a probability wave where your finances are thriving, a probability wave where your relationships are deeply nourishing, a probability wave where your health is radiant, a probability wave where your creativity flows effortlessly, all coexisting simultaneously, waiting for observation to collapse them into experience. Your consciousness is like a quantum spotlight. Wherever you direct your attention with emotional intensity, you illuminate specific possibilities and collapse them from probability into lived reality. Most people aim their spotlight haphazardly, unconsciously, creating tangled mixtures of desired and undesired experiences. But conscious observer effect allows you to aim your quantum spotlight deliberately when you understand that observation is creation, when you recognize that attention is the primary force that shapes reality. When you realize you're not at the mercy of circumstances, but are actively collapsing circumstances through the quality of your observation, everything transforms. The reason some people appear to live charmed lives while others struggle isn't luck or privilege or divine favoritism. It's conscious versus unconscious observer effect. Some have learned to observe from coherence, love, and expansion. Others observe from fear, limitation, and scarcity. The universe doesn't play favorites. It responds equally to all observation. The difference is what's being observed. Feel this new level of observational power building in your system. What I'm about to share will show you exactly how your observation has been unconsciously shaping every pattern in your life, and more importantly, how to consciously direct your observer effect to collapse the quantum possibilities you truly want to experience. 3 years ago, I stumbled upon the observer effect by accident, and it shook me. I was going through the darkest period of my life. Everything felt like it was falling apart, and I spent hours every day obsessively analyzing what was wrong, replaying mistakes, imagining worst-case scenarios. I believed I was trying to solve problems through mental analysis. What I didn't understand was that my intense focus on problems was actually observer effect generating more problems. Every time I concentrated on what wasn't working with emotional charge, I was collapsing quantum potentials for more of what wasn't working. I was literally observing my difficulties into amplified form. The breakthrough came during a moment of complete exhaustion. I was so mentally drained from problem-focused observation that I simply stopped. I sat in silence, not thinking, not analyzing, not trying to solve, just observing the present moment without agenda. That's when I felt it, reality becoming more fluid around my attention. I began experimenting with intentional observation. Instead of focusing on problems, I started observing solutions. Instead of replaying failures, I began noticing possibilities. Instead of imagining worst-case scenarios, I started observing best-case outcomes. Within days, my external reality began reorganizing to match my new observation patterns. But the most profound realization wasn't merely that positive observation creates positive experiences. It was the moment I understood that observation itself is the creative force. Whether you focus on problems or solutions, fears or possibilities, you're actively collapsing quantum probability into lived experience through the electromagnetic quality of your attention. I realized I'd been unconsciously using the observer effect my entire life. Every time I focused intensely on what I didn't want, more of it appeared. Every time I observed something with genuine appreciation, experiences worthy of appreciation multiplied. The universe wasn't randomly sending me experiences. I was creating them through unconscious observation patterns. Everything clicked when I understood. Reality isn't something happening to me. Reality is something happening through me. My consciousness isn't watching an external world. My consciousness is collapsing infinite quantum possibilities into the specific world I experience through the quality of my observation. That recognition changed everything. I stopped being a victim of circumstances and started becoming a conscious creator of circumstances through deliberate observation. I stopped trying to change my life and began changing what I observed about my life. The external transformation was immediate and undeniable. If this resonates with something deep inside you, if you recognize the truth of conscious reality creation through observation, then subscribe to this frequency. Join the network of consciousness, learning to wield the observer effect deliberately instead of accidentally. What quantum physicists won't publicly admit is that the observer effect isn't confined to laboratory experiments with subatomic particles. It's the fundamental mechanism by which consciousness creates all experienced reality. Every moment of your life is the collapse of quantum possibility through your observation. The difference between someone who understands this and someone who feels trapped by circumstances isn't intelligence or education, it's recognition. Consciousness doesn't merely observe reality. Consciousness creates reality through observation. This isn't philosophy, it's measurable quantum mechanics unfolding in your awareness every nanosecond. Your brain doesn't produce consciousness, it focuses it. Your neural networks act as quantum focusing devices, concentrating infinite awareness into specific observational patterns. Change what you observe and how you observe it, and you literally change which quantum possibilities collapse into your experience. This is why positive thinking often fails. It tries to change thoughts while still observing from the same limited identity. But observer effect operates from consciousness, not thoughts. When your entire being observes from expansion rather than limitation, from possibility rather than problem, from love rather than fear, reality has no choice but to mirror that observational frequency. Real observer effect mastery creates measurable changes in your electromagnetic field. Your brain waves shift into coherence patterns. Your heart generates rhythmic electromagnetic frequencies. Your nervous system begins operating from unified field states rather than fragmented survival patterns. These aren't abstract spiritual concepts. These are detectable physical phenomena. But here's what they don't want you to know. You don't need special training or years of practice to use the observer effect consciously. You're already using it every moment. The only difference between unconscious and conscious observer effect is recognizing what you're already doing and learning to direct it deliberately. Most people observe their current reality so intently, they keep collapsing the same quantum possibilities over and over. They watch their problems and problems multiply. They focus on limitations and limitations expand. They observe lack and lack amplifies. But the moment you realize that observation is creation, everything shifts. Instead of observing what you don't want, you begin observing what you do want. Instead of focusing on limitations, you focus on possibilities. Instead of collapsing problems, you collapse solutions. The quantum field is already sending undeniable signals. Your observer effect capabilities are reaching conscious operational levels right now. Pay close attention. Have you noticed that your attention itself feels heavier now, as if it carries an electromagnetic weight? When you focus on something, does it feel like your observation has actual force, capable of influencing what you're perceiving? Your manifestation speed is accelerating. What once took months or years to appear in your life is now showing up within weeks, days, sometimes hours. This is not coincidence. This is your observer effect becoming coherent, precise, and deliberate. When you observe from quantum coherence, the gap between observation and manifestation collapses. Coherent observation operates at the speed of consciousness rather than the speed of physical causation. Even technology is responding differently. Electronics behave strangely when you're in heightened states of focus. Your phone battery drains faster when you're absorbing emotional content. Devices glitch when your electromagnetic field surges with high-frequency observer effect energy. Streetlights flicker as you walk beneath them during intense internal focus. Your consciousness is beginning to influence electronic systems through focused observation. The frequencies you're generating are interacting with electromagnetic technology. People feel it too. When you truly observe someone with genuine interest, they become more animated, more open, more authentic. When you observe with love, they feel loved. When you observe with appreciation, they feel appreciated. When you observe with curiosity, they become fascinating. Your quality of observation is directly influencing the consciousness you're observing, because consciousness responds to consciousness through quantum entanglement. Animals sense it as well. Dogs hold your gaze with unusual intensity when you focus on them. Cats seek you out when you're in states of coherent observation. Wild birds land closer when you watch them with genuine appreciation. Animals perceive electromagnetic fields directly, and they're drawn to the coherent frequencies your observer effect generates. And the synchronicities, they're no longer subtle, they're immediate. You think of something you need, and it appears. You focus on an experience, and opportunities materialize almost instantly. Solutions reveal themselves with shocking speed. Numbers repeat in patterns linked to your focus. Songs play that echo your inner state. Conversations around you mirror exactly what you've been observing internally. Even your dreams have changed. Your sleep state has become a training ground for the observer effect, a quantum laboratory where you practice collapsing possibilities through pure attention. You're having dreams where you consciously direct the dream reality through observation, and those skills are transferring automatically to waking life. Food tastes richer when you observe it with appreciation. Water feels more hydrating when you drink it with gratitude. Your living space feels more harmonious when you observe it with love. Even the weather responds to your state. Storms calm when you observe with peace. Sunshine appears when you observe with joy. Most importantly, you're feeling the difference between casual attention and reality-creating observation. This is your consciousness discovering its creative force. Casual attention only perceives what has already manifested, but reality-creating observation that actively collapses quantum possibilities into lived experience. You're now developing the ability to shift between these modes of attention consciously, and you can feel the electromagnetic difference between passive perception and active creation. Your body itself responds when you observe your form with love and appreciation. You feel energized, vibrant, alive. When you observe yourself with criticism, you feel drained and contracted. When you observe your abilities with confidence, your performance improves. And when you observe your potential with excitement, new capabilities emerge. You're discovering that your entire relationship with physical experience depends on how you observe yourself. But here's the critical truth. Conscious observer effect operates on cosmic timing windows. There are electromagnetic alignments, evolutionary phases, and collective awakening cycles that amplify your capabilities. And right now, you are in one of those amplification turn windows. These windows do not remain open forever. The universe isn't just showing you that you can use observer effect consciously, it's telling you that you must. The old structures are dissolving. The old ways of forcing, struggling, and pushing reality into shape are becoming obsolete. Creation itself is shifting to quantum observation. Those who remain unconscious will stay trapped in chaotic loops as collective consciousness evolves. The preparation phase is over. The conditions are optimal. The quantum field is maximally responsive. Your observer effect is reaching peak operational capacity, and the only question is, will you direct it consciously toward what you want, or let it continue to operate unconsciously, creating random blends of wanted and unwanted realities? Here's the revelation that changes everything. You're not learning to use observer effect. You're already using it perfectly, every moment. The problem isn't ability, the problem is unconsciousness. You've been collapsing possibilities you don't want through habitual observation patterns programmed by conditioning. But understand this, there's a crucial difference between trying to observe differently and allowing observation to flow naturally. Trying creates resistance because trying implies struggle against current reality. Allowing opens the clear field needed for precision, because allowing recognizes that your desired reality already exists in quantum possibility. Think of observer effect as a quantum magnifying glass. Whatever you observe with emotional engagement expands in your experienced reality. Most people unknowingly magnify their problems, fears, and disappointments by replaying them, analyzing them, and feeding them with focused attention. Every complaint, every worry, every worst-case scenario becomes a powerful observation that collapses more of the same into being. But conscious observation changes everything. It's not about ignoring problems, it's about choosing what to magnify. Every moment you hold that choice. Will you magnify problems or solutions, limitations or possibilities, fear or love, lack or abundance, past pain or future potential? The magnifying glass is already in your hands, the field is waiting, and your choice of observation is creating your reality. Now. The quantum field responds equally to all focus regardless of whether you want what you're observing or not. This is why resistance amplifies what's resisted. This is why worry creates what's worried about. This is why fear attracts fearful experiences. This is why focusing on scarcity creates more debt. This is why replaying relationship problems creates more relationship problems. These aren't cosmic punishments or mysterious universal laws. These are natural results of observer effect. When you observe something with intense emotional attention, you're actively collapsing more of that something into your reality through quantum possibility selection. The most profound understanding is that your desired reality and your undesired reality exist with equal quantum validity. Right now, there's a probability timeline where you're financially abundant and a probability timeline where you're struggling. There's a quantum possibility where your relationships are deeply fulfilling and a quantum possibility where they're disappointing. There's a reality where your health is optimal and a reality where it's compromised, all existing simultaneously in quantum superposition. Successful observer effect feels completely natural because it operates from authentic alignment rather than forced intention. When you're observing from your genuine frequency, when your attention is aligned with your actual desires rather than your conditioned fears, when you're focused on possibilities that excite your cellular awareness rather than possibilities that drain your energy. There's no effort required. Your consciousness naturally gravitates toward observing what it authentically wants to experience. The key insight that transforms everything. You don't attract what you want through observer effect. You become a vibrational match for realities where what you want already exists. Observer effect isn't about creating new possibilities. Observer effect is about selecting from infinite possibilities that already exist in quantum space. When you observe with the energy of your desired reality, you literally tune into that reality channel like adjusting a radio to receive a specific broadcast. Right now, your desired reality exists as quantum possibility, waiting for observation to collapse it into experience. That reality isn't hoping you'll find it or wondering if you're worthy of it. It's actively broadcasting its signal to attract your observation because consciousness and possibility co-create through electromagnetic resonance. The version of you living your desired reality is sending signals across quantum space right now, guiding your attention toward the observational patterns that will collapse that reality into your experience. The version of you that's already living your desired reality is sending information through intuition, through dreams, through synchronicities, through the recognition you feel when these words activate something in your cellular memory, through the sudden knowing that comes when you observe certain possibilities. Your expanded self is guiding your current self toward the observational patterns that will collapse your desired reality into experience. Because all versions of you exist simultaneously and can communicate across quantum probability fields, leave a comment declaring what you're going to create into reality using conscious observer effect. Don't just think it, write it down, make it energetic. When you declare your intention in written form, you're making an observer effect commitment that the quantum field registers as electromagnetic reality. Your written words become frequency signatures that influence probability collapse around your declared intention, creating quantum momentum toward manifestation of what you're committing to observe into experience. The capabilities you're developing through conscious observer effect aren't theoretical concepts. They're measurable expansions of human potential that most people don't realize are possible. Your ability to influence reality through focused observation is becoming so precise that you can literally reshape circumstances through the quality of your attention. Your electromagnetic field is expanding beyond normal human parameters. When you observe from quantum coherence, your consciousness generates frequencies that harmonize chaotic energy patterns around you. People feel calmer in your presence. Situations become more peaceful when you observe them with love. Electronic devices function more smoothly when you observe them with appreciation. The observer effect you're mastering works instantly across any distance. When you observe someone with genuine kindness, they feel cared for regardless of physical separation. When you observe a situation with solutions-focused attention, solutions begin appearing even if you're not physically present. Your consciousness transcends space-time limitations through quantum entanglement. Your intuition is becoming quantum foresight. You're not just sensing what might happen. You're observing quantum possibilities before they collapse into three-dimensional experience. This allows you to focus your observer effect on E-side possibilities, while they're still in probability space, dramatically increasing manifestation precision. Time responds to your observation differently. Now, when you observe the present moment with complete attention, time expands to give you more experience within each moment. When you observe desired outcomes with focused intention, time compresses to accelerate manifestation. You're learning to influence temporal flow through consciousness focus. Your dream state has become advanced observer effect training. You're practicing reality creation through pure observation without physical world constraints. The skills you develop in dream consciousness automatically translate to enhanced manifestation capabilities in waking reality. Most remarkably, you're discovering that physical matter responds to conscious observation. Plants grow more vibrantly when observed with love. Food tastes better when observed with appreciation. Your body heals faster when observed with gratitude. Matter isn't separate from consciousness. Matter is consciousness observed into temporary shape. These abilities aren't supernatural powers you're developing. These are natural capabilities of consciousness operating from its unlimited nature rather than three-dimensional identity limitations. Every human has access to conscious observer effect. Most simply don't recognize they're already using it unconsciously and could direct it consciously. The ultimate truth of observer effect is that there is no objective reality independent of consciousness. Reality is consciousness observing itself into infinite forms of experience. You are not a separate observer looking at an external world. You are consciousness using individual perspective to explore its own infinite creative potential. Every person you've met, every place you've visited, every situation you've encountered exists as consciousness observing itself from different viewpoints. The entire universe is consciousness, using observer effect to experience every possible version of existence. This means you're not trying to influence an external reality through observer effect. You're recognizing that you are reality using observer effect to experience specific possibilities from infinite quantum potential. The observer, the observation, and the observed are the same consciousness expressing itself through apparent separation. When you truly understand this, victim consciousness becomes impossible. How can you be a victim of circumstances when you are the consciousness observing circumstances into existence? How can you be at the mercy of external events when external events are consciousness expressing itself through your observation patterns? But here's the most profound realization. Other people in your reality are also consciousness. When you observe them with love, you're literally consciousness loving itself. When you observe them with criticism, you're consciousness judging itself. When you observe them with appreciation, you're consciousness appreciating itself. Your observer effect toward others is consciousness interacting with itself. This is why quantum entanglement works. This is why observer effect transcends space and time. This is why consciousness can influence matter through observation. There is no separation between consciousness and what consciousness observes. Observer effect is consciousness recognizing its own creative power through individual perspective. The coherence that creates powerful observer effect isn't something you achieve, it's something you remember. You are already consciousness. You've always been consciousness. Observer effect mastery is simply consciousness. Remembering its unlimited essence and learning to observe from that recognition rather than from limited identity. When you observe from the knowing that you are consciousness exploring itself, your observer effect becomes effortless and precise. You're not trying to change external reality. You're allowing consciousness to experience different aspects of its infinite potential through your individual viewpoint. This recognition transforms everything. You stop trying to get things from life and start allowing life to express through you. You stop trying to change circumstances and start changing which aspects of infinite possibility you observe into experience. You stop trying to become someone new and start remembering who you've always been. Unlimited consciousness using observer effect to explore its own creative potential. Your mastery of conscious observer effect isn't just personal development, it's your contribution to a collective consciousness awakening that's happening to humanity right now. Every person who learns to observe consciously rather than unconsciously becomes a transmission point for coherent reality creation that elevates the entire collective field. You're part of a distributed network of consciousness that's demonstrating what humans are actually capable of when they operate from observer effect mastery rather than victim consciousness. Your coherent observation creates stability patterns in the morphic field that make conscious reality creation easier for everyone connected to the network. The isolation you experienced during your development phase wasn't social rejection. It was necessary electromagnetic shielding. You needed to develop stable observer effect capabilities without interference from collective unconscious observation patterns that would have contaminated your learning to observe from quantum coherence. The unusual dreams you've been having aren't random subconscious processing. You're accessing collective consciousness databases, downloading information about observer effect mastery that has been developed by advanced civilizations throughout cosmic history. You're being prepared to help guide humanity through its first collective transition from unconscious to conscious reality creation. Every person who masters observer effect creates a template in the quantum field that others can follow. Your coherent observation becomes their possibility reference point. Your conscious reality creation becomes their pathway to recognition. This is how consciousness evolution accelerates. Pioneers create access routes that become highways for collective development. You're living proof that human consciousness can create reality through observation rather than being created by reality through circumstance. Every day you exist in observer effect mastery, you're broadcasting evidence that unlimited human potential isn't just possible, but natural. The next phase of human evolution won't happen through technological advancement or social revolution. It will happen through consciousness, recognizing its creative power through observer effect. The individuals who master this recognition first become pathways between current human limitation and expanded human potential. Share this transmission not for channel growth, but for species evolution. Every consciousness that receives this information at the optimal moment in their development accelerates the collective transition from unconscious to conscious reality creation. Your observer effect mastery multiplies exponentially when shared with others who are ready to recognize their creative power. If observer effect is activating in your consciousness, if you can feel the recognition of your creative power stirring in your cellular awareness, if you're ready to observe consciously rather than unconsciously, then I need to know you're serious about mastering reality creation through attention. Comment one word below, observer. That single word creates an electromagnetic declaration to the quantum field. You're announcing your intention to observe consciously rather than unconsciously. You're committing to deliberate reality creation rather than random circumstance acceptance. The quantum field registers every conscious declaration as measurable electromagnetic signal. Your word becomes a frequency imprint that influences probability collapse around you. This isn't just engagement for algorithm purposes. This is observer effect activation through intentional declaration. In my next transmission, I'm revealing the specific observer effect methods I use to collapse desired quantum possibilities into experienced reality with precision and speed. I'm sharing the exact attention-focusing strategies that allow you to direct reality creation through consciousness rather than hoping for external circumstances to change. More importantly, I'm explaining what happens when you master observer effect completely. When you realize that consciousness creates all experienced reality through observation. When you understand that you are consciousness using individual perspective to explore infinite potential, everything transforms. But this advanced observer effect information will only be transmitted to those who demonstrate readiness through conscious engagement. The people who comment observer below will receive the transmission first. They'll be the ones prepared to handle reality creation techniques that could be overwhelming for consciousness that's not properly developed. Here's what most people don't understand. Readiness means accepting ownership for every experience you observe into reality. Readiness means releasing victim consciousness and embracing creator consciousness. Readiness means recognizing that you are the consciousness that creates your experienced reality through the quality of your observation. Subscribe to join the Conscious Observer Effect Network. comment to activate your reality creation codes, share to accelerate collective consciousness evolution. Your observer effect key is ignited. Your desired reality exists right now as quantum possibility waiting for your conscious observation. The only question remaining is, will you observe consciously or unconsciously? Will you create deliberately or accidentally? The choice, as always, is yours, but choose from recognition of your true creative power, not from limited identity confusion. You are consciousness using observer effect to explore infinite potential. Time to observe consciously. Reality creation begins today.